Good evening and welcome into the South Carolina High School Game of the Week on netcastsports.com, brought to you by ABR Live. We've got a good one as we bring you the number 2 Dorman Cavaliers against the number 3 Hillcrest Rams from the beautiful campus of Dorman High School. I'm Eric Morris alongside the captain, Kerry Rich. This is the second game of a back-to-back between these two ball clubs, with Dorman winning Thursday night 63-61 in Simpsonville. Kerry, another good matchup here on the South Carolina High School Game of the Week.
Absolutely. What a great matchup tonight between two really, really good teams. Two of the best South Carolina has to offer. Dorman has 3 players that were selected all region last year. Kayvon Dover, Trey Robinson, and Maurice Daniels. Now, Trey Robinson will not be here as he participates in the North-South football game, so he's not here. Thomas Ryan, who's a protege of Lexington's head coach, Bailey Harris, does a terrific job up here, and look for that particular team to maybe play close to the way Lexington played, very deliberate in terms of how they're going to approach. Tempo certainly would be very, very important when it comes to this basketball team. On the other hand, while 6'3" guard from Hillcrest, Trey Smith, will probably be the best player on the floor, they're going to be very, very short-handed tonight as they go without their tremendous point guard, DJ Brooks. Yes, DJ Brooks, a Mercer signee, one of the top point guards in the state of South Carolina, is out with a torn ACL. Yes, he's out for the entire year with a torn ACL, so he will not be here tonight. So Coach Choplin has his work cut out for him tonight. Should be a very, very fun game, and I am so, so happy to be a part of it. But joining us here at courtside today is the guy that's responsible for putting all of this together with Augusta basketball in Chad Cook. Chad, I'm hearing that we're taking a look into several different games all throughout South Carolina tonight. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Kerry. So you guys did a great job Friday with the Irmo-Lexington game. And so I'm crazy enough to say, well, let's just switch everything up and try to bring in highlights from Columbia, Aiken, North Augusta, and then we can just screw it up really good. No, I'm joking, my man. But I know you've got to be excited when it comes to the Columbia matchups that we're going to bring in. We're going to show a little bit here. One of the ones that we're excited about is Keenan High School versus AC Flora. Keenan High School. Have a little technical problem here, but Keenan High School is led, as we all know, by Marcus Stroman, future South Carolina Gamecock commit. So you played that position, that point guard position for the Gamecocks. How special is Stroman going to be?
Absolutely, he's going to be really, really special. But before we talk about Marcus Stroman, let's talk about Keenan's head coach, Zach Norris, one of the absolute best in the state of South Carolina. What a program he has down in Columbia. They've been a mainstay in the South Carolina high school playoffs. They have also been a mainstay when it comes to participating in championship games. And he's done it because he's had really, really good players like a Marcus Stroman, who is, like you said, a South Carolina signee, a guy that Frank Martin and his staff are very, very high on. Frank Martin and his staff went to see Marcus last Friday play against Laura Richland, and they walked away very, very impressed, almost going so far as to say if Marcus Stroman was at South Carolina right now, he'd be competing for a starting job at the point guard. So that's how high they are when it comes to Marcus Stroman. But he's not the only guy in that backcourt. They have another guy that goes with them by the name of Eric Hopkins. And certainly, in my opinion, from what I've seen, I know DJ Brooks and Trey Smith have been very, very good in terms of having a collective backcourt together and feeding off of each other and understanding how each other play. But I will tell you one thing, there can't be a better backcourt in the state of South Carolina than Eric Hopkins and Marcus Stroman. Eric Hopkins is a 6'1" shooter. He flats out shoots it. He does a terrific job, and he's actually gotten a lot of interest from several Division I schools. Those two guys get it going for Zach Norris. Those two guys get it going defensively and offensively, and those two guys are going to be the main reason that this team, Keenan High School, will again compete for a 2A state championship.
Yeah, and Keenan is the second-ranked team in the state of South Carolina in AA. I believe we have Lake Marion right ahead of them. But you know what rankings mean. You got to prove it on the court. But I saw Hopkins and Stroman and Augusta were playing that footage here a few weeks ago, and I tweeted out that to me that's the most dangerous backcourt, high school backcourt I've seen. I'm sure there's a duo somewhere with more prestige or something like that, but those two guys get it done on the court. And 2 out of 3 state championships last 3 seasons?
Absolutely, and you expect those guys to be competing again this year. Tonight they're going against another really good guard in AC Floors, Matt Howard, a 6'4", ultra-athletic wing player that will be playing for Penn next year. So it should be a lot of points put up on that scoreboard tonight with those two teams. And another side note, AC Floors head coach Leon Brunson is a protege of Zach Norris. He coached with Zach Norris for a number of years, so you could be looking at splitting images of each other when you look at how they're coaching and how their teams play. What a terrific game down in Columbia with Keenan and AC Floor.
Yeah, and Leon Brunson was an Augusta State Jaguar back in the day. He was actually a teammate of mine in college.
Yeah, I've actually been told by him that he was a pretty good player, so I don't know how much I should believe.
He tends to tell people that from time to time, yes. And he's right. He's right. Now, another big game in the area of Columbia is one that involves a team you saw Friday night and broadcast for us. So that's Irmo versus White Knoll. Irmo has another University of South Carolina future player in Justin Mackey, son of BJ Mackey. What did you see from Justin Friday, and what do you expect to see him throughout the season?
Well, I expect to see a better Justin Mackey tonight. He wasn't very good Friday night. Coach Whipple talking to him before the game. He hasn't been happy with the way Justin has been playing so far. He wants Justin to become more of a leader. He wants Justin to start satisfying some of the things that people are saying and people are writing about him. And more importantly, he wants Justin to understand the expectations and the notoriety that's going to come along with a South Carolina signing. And with that, there's a certain level of play. There's a certain level of leadership. There's a degree of leadership that Coach Whipple wants to see from Justin Mackey. And I do think he was pressing just a little bit because he had his father, all-time great B.J. Mackey, in attendance. He also had associate head basketball coach at the University of South Carolina, Brad Underwood, in attendance. And I think that got to him a little bit early, and I think he started pressing. But the one thing that I was impressed with outside of just his overall presence and his competitive nature, yes, his shot wasn't falling. He wasn't really good offensively. But the one thing he did that really impressed me, and I walked away from the gym happy to see, that on nights when that shot is not falling, he still found a way to impact the game. What a terrific passer he was the other night. What a terrific playmaker he was the other night. He wasn't known, but he found a way to include his teammates. He found a way to involve his teammates, and he also found a way to step up to that free throw line at the end of the game. I think less than a minute to go, and he secured the deal for Irmo in a very closely contested game with the Lexington Wildcats.
Well, in the third matchup in Columbia that we're going to bring highlights to the viewers of today involves another couple former Gamecocks, and hopefully, I don't know if you can say it or not. It might be a recruiting violation with you being an alum of the University of South Carolina, but I hope a future Gamecock, P.J. Dozier, whose father coaches him at Spring Valley, and the opposing coach is his uncle, Terry Dozier, at Westwood. Talk about what you expect to see there tonight.
Well, let me just say this. With some of the guys that we've talked about, some of the guys that we've highlighted, this does seem to have somewhat of a South Carolina flavor.
Yeah.
and it certainly was not intentional, but the guys that we're covering, there's been a concerted effort by the South Carolina basketball staff to try to protect the border and keep that homegrown state here, keep it inside of the state of South Carolina. But yes, when you think about Westwood and you think about Spring Valley, the first thing that comes to my mind is a family affair, as this game will pit twin brother versus twin brother, two former South Carolina Gamecocks, Terry and Perry Dozier. While those guys will make the headlines, P.J. Dozier will be the show. You're talking about a 6'5" guard, a multi-dimensional player with a tremendously high basketball IQ. and also a know-how when it comes to playing the game of basketball. He will be one of the highest recruited players to ever come through the state of South Carolina. Already as a sophomore, a 6'5" guy who could potentially play point at the next level, he's already garnered serious and genuine interest from the likes of Kansas, South Carolina, Clemson, NC State, amongst others. And for a 6'5" sophomore garnering that type of serious attention, I think it reminds all of us what type of talent we're talking about. So while the brothers, the uncles, and the fathers and all those guys get the highlights and the headlines, P.J. Dozier will be the show for sure.
Well, you know what I think? P.J. being, I heard about P.J. like 3 or 4 years ago. And I'm just a guy from Augusta. So, this is a name that has been ringing for a while. And as is usually the case, lots of people like to see guys like that either fail or not live up to it. So you hear, things said here and there, overrated, whatever. I love the fact that he comes out, they beat Orangeburg Wilkinson, and then they came to Aiken last week, preseason number 10 in Quad A basketball, and beat the tar out of Aiken, I have to say, with all due respect to Coach Harrell and the guys from my area. But and he was great. We were there on site, and he was setting up his teammate Dominique Walters, a left-hander who can shoot the ball, athletic player, and he was really dishing that ball. So at 6'5" and probably no older than 16, maybe 15. Is he going to be a 6'8", 6'9" guy in your opinion?
Yes, he's going to be a 6'7", 6'8" legitimate point guard.
Yeah.
You often hear coaches and analysts talk about, hey, he's a terrific ball handler. Well, there's a difference between being a terrific ball handler and having the ability to play the point guard.
Yeah.
He has the ability to play point guard position because of his IQ, because of his understanding, because of his unselfish nature, because of his vision, because of all of the other dynamics that come along with playing the point guard position. When it comes to his skill set, there's no question in his skill set. Anybody who watches the game and watches this kid play, there's absolutely no reason for you to ever question his skill set. The only thing P.J. Dozier needs to know, yes, I have the skill set. I have all of the other things that's needed to be a terrific player. Mentally, he just needs to understand that, yes, I'm the best basketball player every time I get in between these lines, because from a skill set perspective, you're not going to find anybody else in the city of Columbia or the state of South Carolina that's able to rival what he does in terms of his skill set. If he gets it in his mind every single night that I'm the best basketball player in between these lines to go along with that tremendously high skill set, Katie barred the door. He'll be able to do whatever he wants to do.
Chiming in here, Kerry, we've seen some games already this year, and turnovers have been an issue. These kids are getting used to the speed of the game. The game's quick for them. When you watch a P.J. Dozier play, the game is slow. The game is under control. He's comfortable with the ball. He's not in a hurry. And you can just see the difference between him and the other players on the floor. And the other guys are good. So that puts him at a whole new level. This guy's special.
He is special. And he will be one of the highest recruited players ever to come out of the state of South Carolina. And then again, you're talking about a sophomore who's already had visits from the likes of Ohio State.
Right.
Kansas was just in the gym. Right. Brad Burnell from Clemson was in the gym watching him practice the other day. Orlando Early from North Carolina State. Frank Martin. So he's already garnering that type of attention. So anybody who doesn't think this guy's for real might want to take a second look to see what's going to happen with this kid, because he's going to be really
you know what I tell people sometimes when they ask me my opinion, I say, look, I don't have scholarships to give out. So those guys do.
Right.
And if they're in the gym and they're calling and they're, then that makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
Now, if you'll allow me now to move to my town, in my area, Augusta, and you're talking about a guy, P.J. Dozier, that gets a lot of attention. I'm pretty sure you've heard of a young man named Ahmed Hill. And, he's from Augusta. He goes to Aquinas High School. We'll be bringing highlights of Ahmed tonight, who plays for Aquinas High School. His backcourt mate, Michael Scott, a very good player as well. But Ahmed will be in action. Aquinas will be in action against Athens Academy today. Ahmed, 6'5", junior, extremely athletic. He can really stroke it, Kerry. I mean, guys, what I always say about Ahmed is if he was 5'11", and not very athletic, he'd still be on the court making a difference because he can shoot it. But you put him at 6'5" and extremely athletic, extremely well put together, and you've got the kind of guy like what you mentioned with Dozier, who's being recruited by the likes of Kansas, Indiana, UConn, Texas, Marquette. Those are the kinds of schools that have been through our area looking at Ahmed this year. So we're really excited to bring highlights of him tonight. And then another one, but his opponent, his opponent last Friday night, Evans High School. Evans High School beat Aquinas at the buzzer Friday night. And so Evans is on a roll, and they'll be playing a South Carolina school from North Augusta, and that's North Augusta High School. And you see here, you'll see here in a moment when we pull it up, TJ Shepard and Tavares Hall, which are two very good players out of the city of North Augusta. And Shepard's a 6'1" guard, really athletic, can shoot the ball, can score in bunches. So they'll be playing against Evans High School. We'll be bringing highlights of that. But, you know, I'll go back to my hole now and let you pros take back over and get ready for this Dorman Hillcrest game. And, you know, I really look forward to it, and I thank you guys for coming.
Thank you so much for putting all of this together, Chad. When we first talked about this summer down in Columbia, of course, with the South Carolina Pro-Am, which was a huge success. Of course, you came down and you added a lot to what we were doing. And we talked about it, and look at what has happened since. We're on a mission. We're on a mission to let folks know that there's some really good basketball in the South. There's some really good basketball in the Southeast. And, you know, I came through that era that produced a lot of Division I basketball players throughout the state for about a 10-year period. And I don't know whether that's going to happen or not, but certainly we want to remind folks that we do have some really, really good basketball here in the state of South Carolina, also in the state of Georgia. And I look forward to a long year with you guys, Augusta basketball. And also my partner, Eric G., who does a radio show with me every single morning, my partner in crime. And we have so much fun, and hopefully that fun will translate to what we're doing on air.
Of course.
I want to see did this Ahmad Hill get frequent flyer miles for those highlights? My goodness.
What's that?
That Ahmad Hill's getting frequent flyer miles for those highlights.
Right. Well, you know, Eric, his AAU teammate, point guard on his AAU team, is Marcus Stroman. Mm-hmm. And when I heard at the beginning of the summer when Marcus had committed to South Carolina, first thing I thought of was what a great get for the Gamecocks, because not only is he a great point guard, but all these great players who play AAU basketball with him, they'd be crazy to not want to follow him and continue to benefit from the things that he does on the court. So Ahmed Hill is one of those guys.
Well, those of us who do care about basketball, and I think there's quite a few of us, have been a little frustrated over the last few years with some things. But you can see the talent coming along, and this gives people an opportunity to see what talent is out there. Sometimes the stuff gets hidden, and football has been stealing a little bit of talent in this state from basketball. But you see guys like Shaq Rowland that maybe if he'd have spent a little more time in the gym, maybe basketball could have been an option for him. And of course, we see some guys in the NFL that were also quality basketball players. But what we need is to see these guys that play year-round focus on the game of basketball, and I think Kerry's doing a fantastic job of bringing that back. And what he talked about with the South Carolina Pro-Am, it was really neat to see you guys out there. Got the Pro-Am on ESPN, number one play, with the incredible dunk by the young man from which college was he from?
UNC Wilmington.
Wilmington.
And his name escapes my mind right now.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Dominique Lacey.
Dominique Lacey.
Dom
Yes.
Lacey.
Was worth the price of admission, which, by the way, was free,
Yeah.
which nobody had any excuses not to go out there, and they went. But seeing those guys play, that was an opportunity to see. When I found out P.J. Dozier was a rising sophomore out there playing with those guys, there was NBA players there.
Yeah.
Impressive stuff. And
well, you know, Dominique Lacey, if we can have our guys in the back go ahead and bring this up, we might as well take a look at Dominique Lacey.
Yes.
Now that you brought him up. I know he doesn't play for Dorman or Hillcrest, but no need to not take a look at Dominique Lacey. This was the number one play of the night on the ESPN Top 10 Plays.
Yes.
Dominique Lacey out of UNC Wilmington. And that it's funny, Kerry. You remember you sat down with us in the booth.
Yes.
And we were talking about the play, and you said, "Well, word is that's already made it to ESPN," and I figured you were joking. And in a matter of 120 minutes, that sucker was a top 10 play.
Top 10, the number one play.
Number one play.
Number one play in all of ESPN highlights. So, what a great time this summer, and I'm so glad that we were able to kind of build off of that excitement and turn that into what we're doing right now. And we're hoping to generate that same type of excitement with you guys as we highlight South Carolina basketball and also Georgia basketball.
Yeah. Well, we don't.
Okay, if we can get our cameras, let's go ahead and focus in on this Dorman entry. We got the Dorman student section going crazy. I'll hand it back over to the pros. Let's have some fun, guys.
Nice, Kerry. There's a little bit of a Tennessee flavor under Bruce Pearl coming from the rafters down through the crowd. The students are bouncing and excited about this. And boy, Captain, you mentioned in the onset of the opening that there are some players that we won't see tonight, but that doesn't mean there's a lot of guys that we will see with both teams. And looking forward to this game. Again, this is their second game in a row, back-to-back. They played in Simpsonville on the campus of Hillcrest Thursday night with the Dorman Cavaliers escaping with a 63-61 win. Quantez Brown, who got the game winner, speaking with Coach Ryan prior to the game, Captain, he won't be able to play tonight, but Quantez Brown, no, it wasn't Quantez Brown, I'm sorry. I don't have it here. There was, there's a player out, but there are 3 all-region guys for Dorman with Maurice Daniels, Kayvon Dover, and Trey Robinson. Let's give you the starting one.
And Trey Robinson is the kid that won't be here because he's playing in the North-South football game. So
that's what it was.
Out.
And he got the tip in.
He got the tip in, Trey Robinson. Yes.
Yeah, but unfortunately for Dorman, he's also a fantastic football player. He's in Myrtle Beach for the North-South All-Star game. Your starting lineups tonight for the home squad: Dorman at point, Maurice Daniels is 5'8" senior point guard. Number 5, Brandon Pinckney, a 6-foot senior guard. Number 11, as we mentioned before, Kayvon Dover, an all-region player. He's a 6'2" forward senior. And Quantez Brown will go in his place. He's a junior 6'3" forward. He'll be in the place of Trey Robinson. Quantez Brown, number 21, is a junior 6'3" forward. And J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, a sophomore at 6'3". He'll play guard. So they'll go with a 3-guard lineup for the Dorman team, and for your visiting Hillcrest Rams, Captain, they will also play 3 guards tonight. At point will be number 11, Tyler Hooker. He is a sophomore 5'11" guard. Thad Perry, number 5, is a 5'10" junior at guard as well. At the other guard will be Trey Smith, number 15, 6'2" senior, a guy you've already highlighted, Captain, so keep an eye on number 15 for Hillcrest. At forward, Tyler O'Shea, number 20. He is a 6'2" senior. And Randall Walker, number 34, he's a 6'4" senior forward. And those are your starting lineups. We're just a few minutes away from the or from the tip-off, Captain.
Yes, and we were talking about Trey Smith. Trey Smith will probably be the best basketball player on the court tonight. You're talking about a 6'3", multi-dimensional basketball player who plays the right way. He can pass it, he can score it. He's a guy who understands how to play the game. And also, he's a Charleston Southern signing. He will be playing for one of our good friends, B.J. Mackey, down at Charleston Southern in the Big South Conference next year. So I look forward to seeing Trey Smith play tonight. But he will be without his running mate, as we talked about before, DJ Brooks, who tore his ACL, a Mercy signee, tore his ACL, and he's out for the year. Yes, he's out for the year. Outside of those guys, they're also missing their third leading scorer, Randall Shaw, who had 6 3-pointers in the last game against Dorman. So 2 out of their top 3 players, E-Rock, will not be in uniform tonight, and that's going to make this game a lot more challenging for Hillcrest. But having a chance to talk to Trey Smith before the game, he's looking forward to it. He embraces the challenge, and they're very confident that they'll get it done tonight against a Dorman basketball team.
Coming into this game, Dorman was one of those teams that played at a preseason tournament, Captain. They have one loss on the season. That was to Irmo. They're 4-1 on the year. Hillcrest did not play in a preseason tournament. They are 1-1 on the season with a win over a crosstown rival, Malden, 66-46 last Tuesday. They lost, of course, to Dorman. This Dorman team, 63-61. Dorman was in the game with Irmo with less than 2 minutes to go.